This is Duke University.
Good morning and welcome to the 2013 edition of the Feagin Leadership Forum. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, we had a fabulous day talking about ethical leadership in medicine. And it carried on into the night, as most of you know, with a lot of discussion and a lot of strengthening of relationships that have built over the last 4 years that this program has been in existence. It's been really special. And we've got a special morning and lunch for you today. You've got a great lineup of speakers. And we also have the opportunity to hear from the Feagin Scholars, which will be a tremendous highlight. And I hope you can all stay for lunch because you don't want to miss that. This program has grown in ways that I never imagined due to a lot of support, a lot of contributions from many of you, our community of leaders, from our health system. We heard from our Chancellor for Health Affairs, Victor Zal, yesterday. From the School of Medicine, this beautiful facility we're using today. We're kind of breaking it in to some degree. This is such a fantastic venue for us, and we're so grateful to be able to have access to such a venue, and we thank the School of Medicine for that. The Department of Orthopedics and our sports medicine section, you know, there's been so much support all around for this program, for the Feagin Scholars, and we're tremendously grateful for that. And we're tremendously grateful for all the contributions that all of you make as well. It may surprise some of you to know that, and I said this yesterday, so for those of you that were here yesterday, I apologize for being redundant, but it may surprise some of you to know that we receive no financial support from any organization within Duke, no support from the health system, no support from the School of Medicine in terms of financial support. As I said, we're very grateful for support in other ways. This program and the Feagin Leadership Scholars Program and the forum is funded through the individual donations that we receive and through our corporate partnerships. So I would ask you if you think this is valuable, and I'm 100% sure you will if you haven't been here before, and for those of you that have, you know. Look in your packets. There's a contribution form there, and we hope that you can contribute to our continuing success as we build this leadership program that's having such a huge impact, not only in our health system, but across the university as well as across the country and the world as we become even more international. So after that public service announcement, I'd like to get on with the meat of the program here. As those of you who are at the pre-breakfast prayers this morning know, there are certain people that are the foundation of our program, and Chaplain Dick Camp is one of those people. He led an incredibly powerful session this morning of pre-breakfast prayers that really got the morning started off on the right way. Another foundation is somebody that's been here every year, contributes so much to so many people, and contributes so much to this program that I can't thank him enough. You all know who he is, and he really brings things home every year as the keynote speaker. So our first keynote speaker this morning is the head men's basketball coach of Duke University, Mike Krzyzewski.
Thanks, Thank you. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Dr. Bradford, we should be playing tennis and beating somebody down at so early this morning. He's the sneakiest tennis partner you could ever have in the history of doubles. It's great to be here this morning at the Feagin Leadership Conference in the Mary Seaman Center. This past year, I took my team to Fort Bragg for a day so that they could feel unity, they could feel teamwork, and they could be on sacred ground. A lot of times things happen better when you put yourself in an environment or a place that brings out feelings in you. Just so you know, it's not just John Feagin, but Mary Siemens is really as great a person that has ever been here at Duke University. She was really a little girl. And my girlfriend, she's the only one my wife allowed me to date, and because she knew that Mary could dominate any guy, any girl too. But it's so great to see a building this beautiful built for such a beautiful lady. It's amazing to see how this conference has grown. When they started it out, knowing John, I was concerned that naming it after Feagin might not have any feet, to get anywhere. But it's grown in spite of that name. That's my way of getting at him. I've known him since I was a cadet at West Point. He screwed up my ankle, and could have been a pro player in my dreams. And then he was the team. Then he ran the hospital when I coached there. Anyway, I've been following him around, and so might as well do this too. I think the program could not be named for a better human being, not just in leadership, but just a humanitarian. He's been a good man. A good man, not just in medicine, but he's a good man. He's a good human being. And to see this grow, I know that they call you the scholars. It's kind of arrogant, right? Like the other people who are going to school or not. Or just, do you ever get that? Like, there's this Feagin scholars, those people over there. I always think of you as Feagin leaders. And I think that the reason that the program has grown is, one, it's named after a great man. The concept is outstanding, and it fills a void. For something to grow, there has to be space for it to grow. It's not like there are other good things going on in medicine and on this earth. But leadership, there's a void. There's a huge void. So the fact that this has grown so much is because there's that void. And y'all, I say y'all, for a Chicago guy, that's something. Imagine if you said that at West Point. Y'all, sir. No, it is for us, got to put a military thing in here just every once in a while, make these guys feel comfortable. But it's really a good thing for you all to fill this void. And I hope that it continues to grow, not just here at Duke, but I think it can grow nationally and internationally. When you think about it, though, when you think about being a Feagin scholar, does that give you, like, credibility? I mean, do you have, like, street cred? Like, for me, I'm always in search of street cred. Really, it's important. I'm 66 years old. I coach kids that are 18. I'm 48 years older than the kids I coach. I never thought I'd be 48 years older than anybody. And so you're constantly in search of how to get street cred. Coaching our national team for the last 7 years gave me a little street cred. I tell them, when I was talking to Kobe, or, they start listening a little bit more, all right? So I told a story a couple of weeks ago. We had a Mother's Day ball to benefit the Emily Krzyzewski Center. We have a center in Durham, which is doing really well and helping kids. And this past year, I had the ultimate night for street cred. It was amazing. I get a call in late November from LeBron James, and I've coached LeBron for 7 years, so we're good friends. And does that give me street cred? I'm explaining now. I'm not trying to get any credibility right now. but LeBron James was voted Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, which is for all sports. The year before, it was a slow sports year, and I had that award with Pat Summitt, who deserved it. And so LeBron called me and said, Coach, I'm getting an award. I'd like for you to come up and present me. It means like you give a 10-minute speech, and I said, it means I talk for 10 minutes about how good you are, right? He says, yeah. He says, I know it'll be hard to fit in the 10 minutes. I said, well, I'll try to do it. I'll try to. I said, of course I'll do it. So I come up. I'm at the event before, he's with all his boys, and I know him from the Olympics, so we touch and base. Then we start the event, and I'm sitting like right here, and the master of ceremonies is Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick is a guy who thinks he's funny, and it's not as funny as he thinks, but he's a good guy. He starts the program, all right? And I'm sitting there in the front row because I'm going to be the key speaker to speak about LeBron. And there's 2 seats next to me that are open. So I'm saying, who would not show up to this thing? So I'm saying, come on. So all of a sudden, 5 minutes into it, a couple walks in. And I look, and it's Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, I really like Jay-Z. I do. But I love Beyonce. I love her. I mean, my daughters know it. My wife knows it. They're okay with it. They don't, they don't think anything's going to happen. All right? They're not really worried about it. So anyway, they come and sit down. And Jay-Z sits next to me, and Beyonce sits next to him. And I want to say, but I don't have the guts, I said, haven't you ever heard of boy, girl, boy? So anyway, I blew it. So I introduced myself, and I said, I'm Mike Krzyzewski, I'm Coach K. And he says, no, I know who you are. And he says, I'm Jay. I'm thinking to myself, and I should have said, and I didn't say it, I should have said, I'm K. And you have these opportunities, and you blow them. So anyway, we do the thing. I go up, and I tell how good LeBron is, and I say a little bit about Beyonce and Jay-Z, and do a good job. Sit down, the event's over, and then we go on stage afterwards, and there's LeBron, Jay, and Kay. And they're taking pictures. And it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my street cred worldwide is just bouncing off of tall buildings, But I haven't really done what I want to do, and that's be with Beyonce. So I got to get a plane to go back to get to Durham. So I go up to Beyonce, and I said, and I'm nervous. So, here's this gonna be this cool guy, and I go up and I said, "Hi, I'm Coach K," and she says, "I know who you are. I just heard you speak." Just shriveled up. Boy, what a stud. It was a good line. That was a really good line. And I said, then I topped it by saying, you're my favorite. All right. So, oh, that's nice. She pat me on the head. And then I asked her to do something that I hardly ask anybody to do. I said, would you take a picture with me? And she said, certainly. So I took a picture, and I look like I'm 12 years old. But again, that goes out. Pretty good street cred. Pretty good street cred. So anyway, use it for all it's worth, all right? You got to keep working on the street cred. The theme of this conference is ethical leadership. And to have courage and integrity and character. And it's an interesting topic. You know, it's very interesting. You can go a lot of different ways. Certainly, as an individual, I think, you know, we're educated and we're around good people, and we're taught to have morals, and you want to make sure you do that. But when I think of ethical leadership, I don't think of one individual, you know, like you. You know, I think as a leader, you know, what you try to do is you try to create an environment that evokes ethical leadership. In other words, you know, if you as a leader are not in control of your whole environment, you may be placed in situations with your team or the people that you're supposed to lead that puts you in a position where there's pressure to make those types of decisions that are very difficult at times to make. In other words, you have a chance to be weak. To me, every human being has a chance to be weak. In fact, every human being is weak at certain times. What a leader tries to do, and a leader can be weak, you know, because you're a human being. But if you create an environment or an organization that does not allow that, you as an organization may never be weak. And so ethical leadership for me is about creating that type of environment. When I came to Duke University, I was fortunate. I had 5 years of being the head coach at the United States Military Academy. And then I went to the United States Military Academy. I was an Army officer for 5 years. You know, those years of being a cadet, an Army officer, and being at West Point were really, for me, the foundation I use every day. That's who I am. And then all of a sudden, you're plugged into these other situations that give you an opportunity to do more. But basically, I try to always be who that person was and who was developing, you know, during that time. And during that time, when I was in the military, you know, we had an honor code. You don't lie, cheat, or steal. You don't tolerate those who do. And I found that that was a great way to live. In other words, I could always trust everything, everybody, you know, because that was our code. And so the morals of those 14 years, the 14 years I spent, you know, really are things that I've tried to take forward. When I got to Duke, it was a different environment. And it was a period of time where, one, I had no infrastructure developed yet. I was a new coach. You know, I was 33 years old, okay? And going into an environment where at North Carolina they had Michael Jordan, James Worthy, and all those guys, and Virginia had Sampson, and anyway, the ACC was loaded, and nobody went early. You know, they were there, not just, they weren't one and done. You're going to see them over and over and over again. And so the very first week that I was the head coach at Duke, we were trying to recruit late. And I had a kid come in, and we went to a local restaurant, you know, to have a recruiting meal. And it was my first exposure to a different culture. I was eating the meal, and a guy came up to me, had a little bit of alcohol on his breath, and said, "Do you want to get this kid?" First of all, I said, "Who the hell are you?" You know, and I said, "Yeah," and he said, "Well, I can help you." I said, "Well, that ain't going to go. You know, we're not going to do that." And I said, "You know what? I'd rather take a pass on that." I didn't know who the hell the guy was, so I didn't want to offend him or whatever, but he was offending me. And during my first few years at Duke, I was exposed to some things that I'd never been exposed to before. Now, as a young leader, you don't have necessarily control over your environment. You're not the head of the hospital. You're not the head of a department or whatever. You're going to go in and you're going to work you're going to go into a different environment. And just like me, I wasn't the main guy at Duke, still not the main guy at Duke, but I'm a little bit more prominent now at Duke than I was then. I have street cred at Duke, all right? With or without Beyonce, all right? So at that time, you know, you don't go in that direction. Now, in that, for all of you who are in those spots of leadership, I was supported by two amazing leaders in President Terry Sanford and Tom Butters. And then I had people around me like Ken Pye, you know, Gene McDonald, Chuck Eustace. I called them the Rat Pack of Duke during the early 80s. And so they created an environment for me, an ethical environment for me, by saying, we are with you. You do all the things that you need to do, and we'll be with you. And that wasn't easy. When you talk about leadership,